Hey, what's going on today, guys? Today I'm going to be unboxing the new Gigabyte GTX 1650 video card. This is a successor of the GTX 1050, which was released in 2017. This one was released this year in 2019. So anyway, it's a pretty remarkable card because just looking at the charts on user benchmark, for example, it's roughly the equivalent to the GTX 780, and that card draws about 3 times as much power at around I think 250 watts TDP versus this one, which is on a hard load gaming load, it's at 90 watts. So yeah, those numbers alone are just show how efficient video cards have gone in the past 2 years. Anyway, so first of all, I'm going to show you the box. Here's the front. And here's the top of the box. And yeah, here's the bottom. Just going to bring this up closer to the screen. And here's the side of the case. Now here's the other side. I purchased this card for the equivalent of $200 US, by the way. Pretty good deal. And yeah, so the most important part of the box, of course, is the back. Goes into all the little details. One thing I really like about this card, the fans right there. These fans will actually not spin unless it's under a full load. But by that I mean if the card's in your system and just running at idle, the fans on this video card will not spin at all. I think that's great because, of course, when you want to compare to operate as silent as possible, and of course, when the fans don't spin, there's going to be no moving parts, which I think is the right thing for a computer. It's going to super efficient, of course. And yeah, so now I'll take the box apart. It's interesting how Gigabyte. I actually talked to the worker at the store, the salesperson, and they said, for just a quick thing, they said for all these Gigabyte cards, the boxes are not technically factory sealed. By that I mean there's no sealant. There's just a flap right here that you can freely undo. So I mean, theoretically, I can't tell if this card is new or used just looking at the box. But what they did say is the card itself here, the static wrapping, it does have a factory seal on it, which is right there. Anyway, I'm just going to take the card out of the static bag now. It's going to go up nice and close to the screen here. So there's the front of the card. Again, these are the 100mm fans I was talking about. It's another interesting thing about it is that although they do both suck air in, just position my fingers, they do suck in air where my finger's pointing in this direction. However, both of them do spin in opposite directions. That's supposed to help with air circulation for the card, just so it gets better airflow. Anyway, yeah, so they have some interesting notches in them too. I guess that helps with to make it more silent versus an ordinary fan. And they have more blades, a lot of blades as well. I think that's just roughly counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 12 blades per fan. It's quite a lot for a 100mm size. Anyway, that's the first impression. And so the other thing is that caught my attention first is this right here. You can see it uses only one 6-pin Pci Power Connector. And again, as I was comparing it to the GTX 780 earlier, which is roughly the same performance, the GTX 780 has two 8-pin connectors right here. So that just, again, that tells you how far we've come in technology for efficiency of video cards in the past few years. So I'll get to that one in a bit. The logo does light up with LED RGB. And then here's the back of the card. I really like that it has a backplate. In my opinion, I feel a backplate just makes a card look more clean, and it just looks ugly with all the circuit board being exposed at the back. So the next thing to discuss that I appreciate Gigabyte for doing is they did put a PCI connector, PCI slot protector right here. I'm just going to remove it. But if you compare it to the NVIDIA Founders Editions cards, they don't even include this. So yeah, again, it's I don't know why NVIDIA doesn't include it in their cards, but I think it's great Gigabyte does, since this is probably the most susceptible component on the video card for damage, and of course it's the most important too, because it's where it connects to the motherboard on the computer. So that's that. You can see the heatsink. Just gonna focus here. It's all aluminum, and there are some copper pipes just at you can see there. I don't know if you can see from there. They go around, it helps dissipate the heat more efficiently. You can also see right there the copper heat pipes. So the next part, I'll just show you the narrow skinny end, and then probably the only part you're gonna see when it's in the computer is connectors. I'm just going to take the protectors off so you can see what each connector is for. By the way, as I was just talking about the protectors, another thing Gigabyte included is for each of the HDMI and display ports, there is a little dust protector, which is quite nice. But yeah, having them removed, I'm just going to show you what the card features. It is just looking at it, 3 HDMI ports and 1 display port. That's quite unusual, because for most modern cards now they include 3 display ports and 1 HDMI, and this one's the complete opposite, which is 3 HDMI and 1 display port. That's actually part of the reason why, ironically, I bought this card. Even though that's HDMI is older, just because I'm going to be having it in the living room, and it's going to be connected to TVs in the room, which use more old school HDMI connector. Anyway, that's that. Just for reference, you can see how wide the card is. Looking at it has 2 screws for screwing it into the case. I know some of the new video cards have triple slot. This is just a standard 2 slot size. Anyway, so I was just going to discuss if you're curious about the RGB, the thing that is going to have an LED light up is right there on the logo. Just going to show you. I'm going to put the card down, and I'll show you what I mean. Since I don't have a computer to plug it in, I can show you on the box right here. You can see the variety of colors that you can program the logo to be illuminated as. It can also be fluctuate between each of these colors and many more, because there's so many combinations you can have. And the software it uses is RGB 2.0. Really interesting. So here's what the box looks like with the card removed. But I'm just going to remove the foam because I think I do see a few stuff underneath that might be of importance. So yeah, just taking these out. First of all, you have the CD. I mean, it's nice that they included this, but at the same time, I mean, you can easily just download this off the internet, so I don't really see the point of why they included the CD. And then there's an instruction manual. Let's let you guys have a quick glance of that. Pretty straightforward. It just explains, you guys probably obviously already know all this. It explains the difference between HDMI, display ports, what capabilities they have, etc. It should give you some basic instructions in a variety of languages on how to connect it to your computer. Pretty straightforward. Again, that stuff I assume is just meant for courtesy, not probably 99% of purchasers won't even look into that. So yeah, I guess that wraps up the video, guys. Thanks again for watching. I'm gonna have a lot of fun playing around with this card, seeing how well it does. It's gonna be again. I really think it's a great step forward that NVIDIA has done. Very low for they've achieved quite a strong video card. I mean, it's roughly looking at user benchmark, roughly the same as a GTX 780. And it's drawing 1/3 the power consumption. It'll be a lot of fun. In my opinion, great option for maybe medium settings in 1080p video games. So again, to conclude, I wish you guys all the best of luck in your future PC builds. Goodbye now.